The following is a special KPIX presentation.
I like doing what I want to do. I figured that's why I'm in here, because I did what I wanted to do. I didn't listen to my parents.
I stepped right into the hot water, and I ended up back where I was before, starting all over again, you know.
Keep it straight, gentlemen, keep it straight.
California locks up more young people than any state in the country, twice the national average.
Hey, gentlemen, hands in pockets, keep your line, keep it on silent.
Many are in the custody of the California Youth Authority, the end of the line for juvenile offenders.
I know that this time that I get out that it'll be a lot different than any other time. I'm not fun orientated. It's time to get out there and do what's right.
The reason I'm back on a violation, the only reason I'm here, is because I ran and didn't report. And that was just a natural instinct through all the time that I'd done as a child.
There's too much noise on this north end. That's enough.
The job of the California Youth Authority is to protect society and rehabilitate young offenders. But overcrowding, violence, and gang activity are undermining those goals.
I don't need a family no more. Family ain't no good for me, you know? If it was good for me, I would have had one a long time ago. My family is just me, myself, and I, man. You know, that's my family. I failed. I can't put the blame on nobody else. I failed. But, you know, you got to have a chance, you know what I mean? You got to have a chance.
In 1986, we focused on 4 boys who were locked up in the CYA. We came back nearly 5 years later, and what we found was shocking. Their stories expose a juvenile justice system that not only fails to protect the public, but is also failing to help these young people. Juvenile justice in California is in trouble. That's what many experts believe. And part of the problem is the California Youth Authority. This is a place where young people have one final chance at being rehabilitated and returned to the community. Yet nearly 60% of the juveniles recommit crimes after leaving the Youth Authority. Why such a high failure rate? Well, back in 1986, we went behind the barbed wire fences of this large institution looking for answers. This is the story of what happened to 4 young people in the California Youth Authority over a period of nearly 5 years. We begin with Joseph. He was sent to the Youth Authority in 1984 for committing a sexual offense. He is one of several hundred sexual offenders currently in the Youth Authority, and he was sent there to receive help in a special psychiatric treatment program.
This was taken when Joseph was a year old. In 1972. This is Joseph. And then I have a picture here of when he was 13 years old, his last birthday, his 13th birthday. His last birthday at home before he went to Youth Authority. This is a kitty that we give Joseph when he was either 11, I think he was 11 when we give this to him, and we've had it in our front room, either on the couch or the love seat since he's been away from us. We keep it close because it was something that was his. It feels like I've lost a son. and that we see him when we can and everything, but we don't see him that often, and I just feel that they've taken my son away.
Ready?
Joseph was sentenced to the O.H. Close Training School in Stockton in September 1984. He was convicted of sexually molesting a 6-year-old girl. He was 13 at the time.
Well, they convict me with a attempt child molest, saying like I was supposed to did something, but I didn't actually do it, and they got me for it. And I went to court, and my lawyer told me to plead guilty because I'd get 6 months at juvenile hall, so I went ahead and pleaded guilty.
When Joseph was sent to the CYA, a psychiatrist made this recommendation.
The ward needs a long-term, highly structured behavior and modification program that will ensure that he begin to take responsibility of the consequences of his behavior. He also needs remedial education, and he needs to be in a specialized counseling program.
Because it costs too much.
The parole board sentenced him to 3 years confinement and ordered him enrolled in a treatment program for sexual offenders. But 2 years later, in 1986, Joseph was still on the waiting list to get into the treatment program.
Well, right now, I just hope that my time goes faster so I can get out, and then when I get out, I'm gonna go back to school and then finish up my school grades, and then get a job, and then get some money and buy a car, get a place where I could stay at, and then get a girlfriend.
7,300 security units, be advised we have school movement at this time. Attention on the halls, holding units, higher lift your helmet off, please make school movement.
Carl Holton School, another CYA facility in Northern California. The juveniles here are older and tougher than those at the Close School.
Please make school movement.
This here, Sonora Hall, program C's, lockers, beds.
In 1988, Joe was finally placed in the Sexual Offenders Treatment Program, but according to his counselors, he failed to successfully complete it. He was then transferred to Holton School.
This here is my bed area. Sleep here every day, night, 7 days a week.
By now, Joe has spent nearly 5 years in the CYA.
This here is my locker. As you can see, it's, a little bit dirty. I take my time sometimes, clean it up. I got my Elvis pictures. Because...
Why do you have pictures of Elvis?
It's like, my idol, who I like, a lot. Ever since I was like a kid. Someday, near the future, I might, want to grow up to be like him.
A report by Joe's parole agent stated,
Joseph continues to make little overall progress. His immaturity and lack of insight has been a major block into any meaningful treatment. With his failed program and continued failure to address major issues concerning his committing offense, it is felt that Joseph still represents a danger to the community and needs additional time in order to address his immaturity and impulsive behavior.
They feel that I'm a danger to society, but then when they tell me that, it's like, makes me kind of upset and mad because they want to, I'd like to see me get out there, and so does my family, but then, they keep me in here longer.
Come on, Misty. Come on. Come on.
Joe's parents live in Riverside County.
Come on, Misty. Misty.
His mother, Jolene, and his father, Ray, worry that the parole board may keep their son locked up until 1992.
I want him out so he can at least get his chance on life before he becomes a bum on the street, because he ain't gonna know what to do. Keeping him locked up is not doing him no good, and like I've talked to a lot of people and that there says the more time he's in there, the worse he's gonna be, and I said, well, I'll deal with it when he gets out.
I want him out in the world so he can be with his family before he gets too old, because of all of his teenage years are gone away from us, and so he can be out in society, get a job, and live a life other than being locked up.
When Joe was first admitted to the CYA, a report stated,
It was felt by the staff that this ward, because of his immaturity and sexual activity, could be abused by older wards. Therefore, it is important that the ward be in the program where peers could not abuse him. It was the feeling that the Close Boys program, with their modification, best met the ward's needs.
just a few weeks after that report, Joe was sexually assaulted by 4 other boys.
Okay, this here is the latrine area.
He recalled the rape, which took place in the shower and sink area, similar to this one at Holton.
When I was coming out of the showers, I came over here by the sink area to dry off. Okay, there was 4 people all together. They was around me. I was wondering why were they around me, and then suddenly there was like 2 on this side and 2 on the other side of me, and one was behind me, you know, and I had my towel around me while I was brushing my teeth, and the one that was standing on the side of me, he pulled up my towel, and the one behind me, you know, tried to, you know, get me inside. I was scared. I was tensed at that moment because I felt, you know, if I didn't cooperate, they would have, you know, tried to choke me, gag me, and put me to sleep, you know, and I was already in a bad position, you know, and I was trying to struggle my way through.
When I got the call and they told me, it scared me, and I told him that we would be down to see him and everything. And when we got down there, he was just like he was in another world, and he told us. We asked him to tell us what happened and everything, so he told us what happened.
I wanted to take a gun up there and break him out of there.
We didn't know what we could do, but we knew it was something that shouldn't have happened. But it did.
I'm afraid that, you know, somebody might come up, you know, during the night and, you know, wrap a towel around me, gag me, and choke me, you know, or, you know, might have a sharp object, you know, stick me while I'm sleeping.
Okay, now you tell me how you would find 3 times 4 here on your missing products list on your multiplication sheet.
Okay, you go 3, then go across to the answer, and then go up.
Right, there you go.
Product.
Okay, and what happens when you have a 0?
A recent progress report on Joe stated,
Joseph is doing well in school. He is described by his teachers as being a good student who is not a behavior problem. On the other hand, he cannot, it seems, get beyond a minimal rehearsing of the sexual offenses that brought him here. There is not the least feeling of remorse or of danger for the persons involved. It was recommended that Joseph attend the group once again.
the report recommended denial of parole. It was the 10th time the parole board turned him down.
I didn't talk about my offense for about 5 months. I think they're using that as an excuse to keep me here longer. You know, it's kind of sick, you know, what I did. So therefore, you know, I didn't talk about it for, 5 months. And then when I was talking about it, one of the TTS's, the treatment team supervisor, came in and had my file in his lap while I was talking about my community offense. He was he interrupted me a couple times and said that you were lying, and then I started over. And then, you know, I discussed my community offense according to the file that he had in his hand, and it was all true, you know, and I started, you know, crying, you know, because I, you know, finally stopped myself from building a block inside my body and break it and let it all come out, you know, and tell them what they want to hear.
Well, what was it? How come you were crying? What was it that upset you so much?
Of what I did to the victim, and I didn't want to let it out. So finally I had to let it out to express my feelings for the victim.
And what were you expressing? What were you feeling?
The sadness and the pain that I put myself and the victim through.
Do you really believe that?
Yeah, I do.
Happy 18th birthday, Joey. Well,
It has been 7 months since Joe has seen his parents. Because Joe's parents live so far away, they seldom can afford to see him.
He's grown so much since I've seen him, and every time I see him, because it's so far apart, you know, and everything, especially since he's clear up here now.
You think he's going to get as tall as me?
Well, he almost is. It's so hard to believe he's 18, though, because he's been away so long.
Okay,
5
Bird.
years. Because he left when he was almost, well, shortly after he was 13, and now he's 18. Where did the years go?
There's been a lot of things that I haven't done because he's in here. When he gets out, maybe I'll get to see more, but I'm more waiting for him to get out so we can do things together, like go camping, fishing, and things like that. And he loves to do stuff like that. But I just don't feel right going to, you know, do stuff like that with him in here. I don't feel like it, because he's part of the family.
Okay? On December 1989, Joe was transferred to a 4th school, where he was enrolled in another sex offenders group. His next parole hearing was postponed until June 1990.
Bye. I'll see you as soon as I can. Bye. Bye.
5 years ago, when Joe was committed to the CYA, his evaluation stated,
It is the probation officer's belief that any treatment at all will probably fail, given the depth of this young man's problems. The only possible approach is to send this young man to the California Youth Authority and keep him there as long as legally possible, as the prognosis for positive change is very slight.
In his last appearance before the parole board, Joseph was again denied parole. He remains in detention, and the parole board has the power to keep him locked up until 1992. You've heard the term institutionalization. That's when an individual takes on the personality of his surroundings. That's what happened with Corey and Colt, two young people who spent more time in institutions than in normal homes. And adapting to this tough environment was a matter of survival for them.
Well, I've been in a group homes place since I was 3 years old. 2 years old, actually. You know, I just started developing an attitude. First thing I ever did was assault a counselor, man. I just started doing things, you know. And the first burglary I did, you know, it was, I don't know, it wasn't planned out or nothing, it just happened, man. It just happened in the spur of the moment, man. People weren't home, the back window was open. I was cold, I wanted a jacket. That's what the whole thing was about. I was 9 years old, 10 years old, man, wanted a jacket. Crawled through the window, got a Levi jacket.
Okay, gentlemen, 6 o'clock, time to get out of bed. Time to get up, gentlemen.
The OH Close Training School. There are 500 boys confined here, among them 15-year-old Corey.
Corey. 6 o'clock, man, let's go.
He is serving a 2-year sentence for strong-armed robbery and extortion. This is Corey's second time at the Close School.
Here, they tell you when to piss, shit, eat, sleep, you name it, they tell you. Everything that you do here, a counselor has to agree with.
Hey, quiet down.
You're always being watched. No matter what you do, there's always someone watching you, no matter where you're at or what you do. I mean, in the room, if you get a, you know, honor roll, which I made, if you get a room, you know, you get a little bit more privacy, you know, but it's not much more than people, you know, in the ghetto, or the dorm, we call it the ghetto.
I've been working for the department since 1979, and just in that 7 years, I've seen quite a change in wards. The wards now are much more aggressive, much more gang-oriented, in my opinion, and much more rebellious against authority than they were even, say, 7 years ago when I started.
You know, right now, man, to be honest, you can't get rehabilitated in this place, man. Because I sure wasn't rehabilitated last time I was here. I started a bad attitude, and I still do. And I probably always will, because that's something that's been inside of me all my life, and that's something that'll never change. You know, that's just something that I'm not going to let change because, you know, it's done a lot of good things for me and it's done a lot of bad things. But it's also something, even if I wanted to, I couldn't change. You know, when something like that grows up with you, you know, it's just not something you let go, man. You know, no matter how much you want to, it's just not something you can let go.
My wish would be to get out of here and do a new life, start all over. My parents had told me about places like this, the things that go on in here, and I never believed them, but I soon would find out.
Colt was sent to the Close School in 1985 for burglary and grand theft. His original sentence was 9 months, but it was extended to 16 months for bad behavior.
I just thought I was hotter than everybody else, you know, I thought I was cool, you know, thought that I could get away with anything, you know, I tried to. And I guess I got away with a few things, but then that one time I got caught, I paid for all of them. I figured, you know, I deserve to be here for what I did. This gives me a chance to settle down, think about what I did wrong and how I can improve it. And I can get an education, I can get help in here, social help. We got all kind of counselors to help us out, and we could do just about anything but run free.
Now at age 15, you look back at your life and all the placements and problems that you've had. What do you think about your life?
I think it was a joke.
The goal of counseling sessions in a small group setting is that everybody can learn from each other, with the eventual goal being that these kids will stay out of correctional type institutions. We try to make them realize that they're responsible for their behaviors out there in the community, which resulted in their incarceration.
And I really developed a hatred for authority when I first came here. You know, I was young, I didn't care. Nothing meant anything to me. I didn't care. Yeah, I learned things. I take what I want and I throw the rest away. The stuff I can learn from, I'll keep. Man. The stuff I already know, I don't care to hear it again. You know, I don't need it. You know, you can only learn so much, you know. You can only learn so much, especially when you do the same thing every day.
Hey, Cam Halls, I want to know when, because the pool's been on restriction for a long time, Halls, you know, and there ain't nothing to do in the day room or that, you know, so I want to know when pool's going to be off restriction.
I don't know when it's off restriction. As soon as Paul gets it back to you guys. I don't know when the deadline is, but you can't play because he put it on restriction.
Quentin and the other counselors spend most of their time supervising the wards, not counseling them. Severe overcrowding has put a premium on staff time.
Carter doesn't have one.
This dormitory is designed for 50 boys, but in 1986 there were 70 juveniles living here.
This one. Counselors want to do a good job, but realistically there's not the time available to do it. And with the overcrowding, it's not going to get any better as far as allowing a counselor time to talk to kids on their caseload and do a lot of the work.
We got hey, look, silence down there.
The aggressiveness between wards, ward on ward and ward on staff has escalated quite a bit because of overcrowding. You know, with the smaller spaces and the more bodies crammed in, the louder noise, there are more fights between the wards. Since I've been here in about 8 months now, there's been a couple of assaults on staff here and attempts by the wards to break windows, throwing objects to staff, breaking TVs, stuff like that. And in my opinion, it's a direct result of overcrowding.
Counselors know that if I get in a fight, there's going to be a reason for it. I get along with, you know, a lot of the groups around here, but I've had my choices. I've had my chances, man. You know, why should I get in a gang? You know, one day get along with this black dude and this black dude. You know, give him cigarettes, get cigarettes, give him lights. You know, whatever, man. You know, just be cool. You know, not friends, because no one in here is my friend. I don't consider no one my friend. They're in here, so they can't be my friend. You know what I mean? But and the next day, just be in a fight with that same dude because of something happened between the whites and the blacks.
Every ward under 18 must attend school and work towards a high school diploma. Education is a critical part of the CYA's rehabilitation program. But many of the wards have serious learning disabilities that require specialized instruction. Many of the boys are 2 to 5 years below their grade level.
I don't know the first thing about school, man, but I know a lot. I'm smart, you know. I ain't learning from people like that. I learned it myself, man. Everything I got, I earned. Everything I got, you know, I got it myself. No one helped me. I got it myself. You know? I don't want a family. I don't need a family no more. I made it this far without one. I don't care to have one. You know? People ask me why. I don't need a family, man. A family ain't no good for me. You know? If it was good for me, I would have had one a long time ago. My family is just me, myself, and I, man. You know? That's my family. You know? Don't care to have a family, man. Don't need one. I made it this far, man. Make it a lot farther.
I like school. I feel that I should get an education while I can in here. Some kids on the outs usually don't get an education. There's some people that are 16 and do 3rd grade work, honor hall, and the teachers are care more about us, you know, than really themselves, because they try to help us as much as they can, you know. And you know, I just, you know, want to thank them for that. I think sometimes I think that I'm just gonna go out and then mess up again and end up in, you know, DeWitt Nelson or something like that. But I just wish I could get out and, you know, do my own life.
What do you mean by do your own life?
Just do what I want to do without getting in trouble. Not breaking no laws or nothing.
1 year later, on July 1987, Colt was paroled to a group home.
I was squirrely. I was young, small. I thought that I knew the world, but really I didn't. And I'm finding that out right now, that I didn't know as much as I knew, or I thought I knew.
After his release from the CYA, Colt lived with his father in Los Angeles, but they did not get along. Colt's father is an alcoholic. Eventually, Colt went to live with his mother in Ohio, but after only 6 months, he ran away from home.
A kid can only, control himself so far. He needs that encouragement, that self-esteem, to make it. Or if he don't have nobody to fall back on, then, he's just going to keep falling back until, he ends up in juvenile hall and has somebody that'll always be right there 24 hours a day to fall back on. And if he don't get, what he wants, then he's going to do whatever it is to get their attention, whoever's attention he's trying to get. I think that I was trying to get my dad's attention, just because I always looked up to my dad, and I always wanted to be like him, So it's like, if he was always at work or, whatever, when he'd come home, I have done something, bad, so then he'd, pay attention, not like I wanted a whipping or anything, but that was one way to get his attention, and he'd notice me.
Colt is in the custody of the Los Angeles County Probation Department. He was arrested in September 1989 and charged with several offenses, including burglary and possession of stolen credit cards. A parole officer described Colt as a sophisticated sociopath, an expert at manipulating people's emotions, and very dangerous.
They think that I'm institutionalized, so they use that, towards, as I'm manipulating. Instead of using it as I think in a positive manner, they're just saying, well, you're manipulating. Because if they think you're beating the system, then they think you're institutionalized. But you can be smart and, not think that you're beating the system, but just using it to your benefit.
Instead of being sent back to the CYA, the court ordered that he be placed in a group home where he could be held until he turns 19.
I think the YA it made me more bitter than I was when I went in. Hatred, I think I have a little bit more hatred towards authority more. But, which every, development and change in life, you learn to deal with. And I just hope that that negative that I've learned, that hatred and that bitterness would change it into something else. I don't want to do no more time. It ain't no ball game, that's for sure.
It's nice to be out of here, at least.
8 days later, Colt ran away from the group home.
Here, you can't get nothing. You don't get nothing, man. If you want it, you gotta take it. School, wood shop, work trades, they won't give you nothing. They will not give it to you. If you want it, they will help you. But they ain't just gonna give it to you. They ain't gonna go out of their way for you. Just deal with it as it comes. I got 2 years left, I got till 88. If I thought about it like, damn, 2 years, man, 2 years, I just kept thinking 2 years, 2 years, it's Friday night, it's Saturday night, 2 years, Slackers would just go, man, just blow.
Two years after this interview, in April of 1988, 2 boys attacked Corey during the night while he slept in his room. His assailants stabbed him several times. Corey was hospitalized for 10 days with a collapsed lung. The following month, Corey was released on parole.
It was gang and it was personal. We had a couple fights, me and one of the guys a couple times, we had a couple fights. not to make myself look good or anything, but in jail, no matter where you're at, is all you got is your own pride and dignity, you know what I mean? That's all you have. You don't have nothing else. I mean, you live by that, self-pride and dignity. Well, the first time any dude got in a fight, it was, you know, it got broke up pretty quick. The second time, he was on his knees crying when we was stopped, and everybody saw it, so he lost everything he had. I knew he was gonna try and get me any way he could, you know, to get his own self-pride back. But then, you know, 7 months later, you know, you tend to fall off your toes, you know what I mean? It just so happened he got the nerve to do it.
In February 1989, Corey was convicted of stabbing a man during a fight. Because he is now 18 years old, he was sent to a state prison instead of the CYA. He is serving a 3-year sentence.
When you get out, I had 3.5 years. You get out, everybody's going 55 miles per hour, you're still going 10. The time you catch up, you're going 155 and everybody's trying to get out of your way. You know what I mean? It's different. Nothing's the same, you know, it changes after years. It's real different, it's hard to adjust. You know, they expect you to get out and do this and that, and they say they're gonna help you, but they don't help you, they ain't nowhere around. You know, they're on your ass when you do something wrong, but when it's time to do something right, where they at? I failed. I can't put the blame on nobody else, I failed. But you know, you gotta have a chance, you know what I mean? You gotta have a chance. It may sound like I don't really care anymore, but I do. You know, I still care, you know. But you know what, I can't call it. I'll just have to wait and see what happens, you know. If I make it, right on. If I don't, well, you know, I don't. You know, I'm gonna try. But you know what, I've done so much time, I don't know nothing out there. You know, all I know is living off the streets.
Corey is scheduled to be released in 1991. Corey was released from state prison last year, but he never reported to his parole officer, and now a warrant is out for his arrest for parole violation. Colt remains on the run after escaping from his group home. Authorities haven't heard from him in several months. The average length of time of a juvenile sentence at the Youth Authority is about 22 months, longer than any other state. For Simone, his years of detention were more about doing time than being rehabilitated.
I say I came into the eyes of the law at a young age because I ran away from home. I come from a split family. My mother and father separated, and I grew up with my mother until I was 11 years old. And she was a real strict woman. She was real strict. So I split and I went to my father. And my father, he's been in and out of, prison a lot himself. And it was like going from daylight to darkness, Here I was in the light all the time in front of my mother. I went to my father, and he just let me do whatever I wanted to do. I started running around with the fellas. We started, drinking and running around in gangs and terrorizing the local high school and junior high school, and started doing burglaries. And I swore I could never get caught because I was doing all these crimes and I wasn't getting caught. And where I finally did get caught and was sent to juvenile hall for a day, and I had to come back to court, I got scared. Oh, wow, they're gonna lock me up forever. And I didn't go to that court, I ran.
22-year-old Simone has been in and out of the CYA for the past 9 years. He's serving his latest sentence of 1 year for selling drugs. Simone is doing time in the Preston School of Industry. This is where the oldest juveniles are incarcerated. It is the last stop in the Youth Authority. Beyond here, a young man could face incarceration in a state prison.
The worst thing I've gotten out of this whole experience being in the Youth Authority is my gang affiliation. I came when I was 13 for a burglary and an assault, and they sent me down south to another facility called Fred C. Nellis. And I got introduced to gangbanging, north and south. The northern and southern Chicanos don't get along, right? And this is something new to me. The southern Chicanos there gave me a bad time. Flat out gave me a straight bad time. And when I did finally get out, I had a lot of frustration and I wanted to get back at a lot of people. I didn't learn nothing. I was only 13 years old. I got out when I was 14, gonna be 15. And I felt when I did get paroled, I was a failure.
Got the Jacket Club to the bottom.
That shit over here. Anyways, man.
It's on you. The gang activity here is real. They send all their badasses from all the other institutions up here. And so you got all these bad people in one place. And they have to learn to live with each other.
Say two, I got two.
But you can have one immature person or ignorant person out of the group who has a lot of influence on the others, and they can take something real small and bend it out of proportion. You can just start a racial riot or a gang fight.
Come on, good for one more, good for one more, get one more. Drive.
Gang violence has been on the rise throughout the CYA. Officials estimate 80% of the wards are gang members.
No, I've outgrown it. I guess I'm getting older, I'm getting tired of it. I sat and thought, well, I'm 22 years old, I gotta make a foundation. I gotta get my own house, and I can't depend on my, my family for supporting me, for my clothes and food and all that anymore. It's just time for me to make a stand.
This time, if Simone doesn't take care of business, there won't be 3 hot meals, there won't be a bed to sleep in. That's bound to be a little bit scary.
No, it's not scary. It's a fact, it's growing up. You gotta do it sooner or later, right?
Simone is scheduled to appear before the parole board in 1 week. His counselor is worried because he did not complete a drug treatment program, a fact which might hurt his chances of being released.
The closer I get to this possibility of parole, I feel more anxious and give it my best shot. I know I should be out there. And the team that recommended parole here knows that I should be released. I just got to convince 3 other men. I'm just here doing time. The various things that are here that are maybe good for other people don't apply to me and don't apply to a lot of other people. So me, I'm just here doing time.
Suppose that more.
Because the wards here are older, Preston School emphasizes training classes that could help these young men find employment when they get out.
They have welding classes here. I'm not interested in welding. I've made couches the first time I was locked up. I'm not interested in carpentry, although I can do it. I'm not interested in that. So why would I be in here taking all this welding if that's not something I want to do in life? I've held a job at Cal Palace in San Francisco, and I've held a job as a longshoreman in San Francisco. Those are the kind of things I'm interested in. Working with my body, moving crates, setting up stages, packaging fish. Preston didn't offer me anything but to sit down and look at life. And maybe that was better than anything they could offer me, because that's what I did do, is sit down and look at life, and it's time to grow up. But I do agree that that's all I am doing, is just watching TV and playing cards.
It is the day of the parole hearing. Simone must persuade the board that he's ready for early release, even though he did not go through a drug treatment program.
What's nerve-wracking about going before the board is that no matter how sincere I am, they have the power, just because they had a bad night before that day, to tell me no. You can't go home.
We worked in 80 and 85. It's like I saw him in 81.
The parole board members are picked by the governor. They have the power not only to deny parole, but to extend a Ward's sentence if they believe he poses a danger to society. In recent years, the parole board has gotten tougher with wards. As a result, juvenile sentences are longer, and there are fewer wards out on parole. The board reaches a decision in 20 minutes, and the news is not good for Simone.
They denied me of parole because they feel I should complete a substance abuse program. So they gave me the remainder of my time. February 1987.
The ward said, I'm not willing to spend the extra time to complete the drug program as it's required. And that's what Simone chose to do, along with the staff, because he was doing fairly well in the program he was in terms of the grades he was getting, that sort of thing. So he took his chances. He went to board without having completed the drug program. His statement was at the case conference that I'm a seller, not a user, so I probably won't have any problem.
I'm not going to go through this program for the simple fact that I felt I was wronged. I have 5 months to do regardless. And going to this program, I won't be able to even complete the program. I'll have to leave the environment I'm in now to go to a different environment. And I'm going to choose not to do that. I'm just going to, as they say, max out, do the remainder of my time.
5 months later, Simone completed his sentence at Preston and was released on parole. But he never reported to his parole officer, and a warrant was issued for his arrest.
My father's lost in the system. He's been in prison. He's been here. I used to visit him here when I was little. But I haven't seen him either since about '79.
Inmate Bolzer. Yeah. You want to step this way, please?
Simone is serving a 5-month sentence at San Quentin for selling drugs. It is his second time in San Quentin. The CYA no longer has jurisdiction over Simone, who is 24 years old.
Step right out this way, young man.
The reason I'm back on a violation, the only reason I'm here, is because I ran and didn't report. And that was just a natural instinct through all the time that I had done as a child. Because it was my first time on parole. And I've always been running from parole or from the police, you know what I mean? When you go out and you first make the choice to jump in the fast lane and jump into it immediately, you know, like going to night, what I mean by fast lane, like a lot of nightclubs. I'm from San Francisco. We got them, you know what I mean? We go through the whole Bay Area. You can party all the time. And when you're faced with, you know, hey, sell this little package and you get this little bit of money and you can start wearing, you know, clothes that you like, nice Italian suits, and Gucci and all that, and have nice cars. When you've been deprived for so long, I guess it's real heavy. It's a heavy battle of the choice. Oh, well, maybe I should just stay home and tomorrow go to work, where you've been staying in a cell and getting up going to work, you know what I mean? But if your willpower is strong enough, you can do it. But you have to have the opportunity also. Yeah. What's the number? D6-418. I'm not saying I'm going to get out and stay home and the next day go to work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm going to go home and look and see what's right to do out there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go out there and go to the dope man. I'm not going to go to the connection or nothing like that. Bad timing,
11:42 hours. Copy on 1.
Let's get this straight, what we're going to do when we get out there. What are we going to find? Where are we going to be? What's
okay,
up with
we're
the
going to
house?
go to the address of record that Simone gave us at OE Street in San Francisco. And what our purpose is there is to show a picture, give some of his assumed names to the residents there to make very clear and very certain whether or not that's his address.
It has been several weeks since Simone reported to his parole officer, David Simons. Simone has been out of San Quentin prison for 2 months. Since then, he has only visited his parole officer once. Now Simons is trying to locate him before the court issues a warrant for his arrest for violating his parole.
So you don't anticipate any trouble?
No, we don't anticipate any trouble at this point. He has a history of consistent assault with a deadly weapon and 2 prior escapes. And he's known to use and deal PCP, which is really...
If there's any problem, who you're gonna take him, or you want me to hold him, or...
Simons has gotten word that Simone is going by the name of Shady. He has a phone beeper, and he's selling drugs on the street again.
Any way back?
No, it's a locked gate.
All right, let's just go here.
If there's any problem, that's where it'll come out, so I'll just keep an eye on it, that's all.
State paroles, ma'am. May I speak to you? Hello, ma'am. I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm Dave Simons. I'm a parole agent with the state of California. We're trying to find Simone Bowser. Do you know Simone?
You never lived here.
The house Simone gave as his legal address turns out to be false. The rest of the morning search uncovers no leads.
No, that's not Simon.
That's too long.
3-4, go ahead.
Simone has technically violated his parole by giving us a false address. What our purpose is here now is to not arrest him and put him back in jail. Our general purpose as parole agents is to make sure people adjust to the community and that they can stay in the community as long as they're not a threat to the community, the public safety.
David 5 Adam, 118 and 9 Boyer going in.
Simone remains underground, and an arrest warrant is eventually issued for violating parole.
Long time. High-profile people and stand on the corner and look at the cars going by.
It is 2 months later. Simone has been arrested and is being held in the San Francisco County Jail. Along with his parole violation, he is charged with using heroin and crack cocaine.
Okay, what's going to happen now is I'm going to recommend a revocation of your parole, okay, because you'd absconded and we had drug use.
Because he violated his parole, Simone now faces another 1-year sentence in San Quentin prison.
Right now, this is the most sorriest point in my life, I feel, right now. This period of time that I just went through, and right now I'm blocked up. I feel the worst I ever have, physically and mentally.
So all the plans that you had, you didn't go to City College, you didn't get a job, none of that happened?
No, none of it happened. I didn't even start none of it, didn't even try none of it. Didn't give it a chance. It's like the first day I was out, it was just boom. I just was back into the corrupt lane.
What sort of final words do you have to say about it?
I just say that when you are caught for the crime and you are doing that time, actually sit and think if this is what you want. If you want to be on the other side of the fence, counting the days it is to get out, or if you ever will get out. You do have to make a decision when you're young. Because if you do, the older you get and the more time that you are, the more times that you repeatedly break the law and come to prison, or from the youth authority to prison, the more habit forming it becomes, and the more easier you take it. How do you say? It becomes more of a lifestyle, something that you start accepting. Then next thing you know, you're in a pattern that you can't get out of.
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah. CYA really didn't do much for me because, no, the CYA didn't do nothing for me. They did nothing for me.
Prison terms don't last forever, and so he gets another chance. He comes back out, and we start fresh each time. We can't change the internal Simone. Only Simone can change that. Nobody else is in charge of that.
After serving time in San Quentin, Simone once again failed a report to his parole officer. He has not been heard from since last August. No matter how serious their crimes, California has a responsibility to try to rehabilitate these young people in a humane manner. Yet it is clear the state has failed many of these children who have become wards of the state. I'm Kate Kelly.